Eye on South Asia is brought to you by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo, together we'll go far.
Hello and welcome to Eye on South Asia. I'm Bhavna Vanan.
And I'm Sanjeev Pandya.
Every week we'll discuss the latest news, events, and happenings with South Asians in North America.
And this week we have another round of interesting stories for our Eye on South Asia viewers.
So we're going to start off with our Pakistani president this week. He is meeting with this weekend NATO leaders in Chicago at a summit in Washington, and this is kind of an improvement from the current state where we had NATO and that whole group. There was speculation saying that they're wanting to exclude Pakistan from this whole discussion because of Pakistan wanting to end the NATO trade supply to Afghanistan. So they're seeing this as an improvement in terms of opening up these routes again, and Pakistan is also showing hopes of that.
And the interesting thing is the Afghan President Hamid Karzai will also be attending this NATO. So it's going to be very interesting between Asif Ali Zardari and Hamid Ansari. I mean to say Hamid Karzai, to see what really transpires from this NATO meeting.
Right, and they're also thinking about renegotiating those borders, which will probably, they're hoping to curb those kinds of on-border incidents like the NATO airstrike last November.
Right.
And they're really just hoping to, stop those kinds of attacks, which is why, Pakistan is really on the edge with this issue.
And the US and Pakistani officials are continuing talks in Islamabad, reopening those ground supply routes, which I think it's going to be better for Pakistan, Afghanistan, and eventually US also.
Right. So Pakistan entering the NATO group, let's see if this helps them, and especially Pakistan and US relations.
And you know what NATO stands for, right? North Atlantic Treaty Organization.
Yeah.
But after
everyone knows that, of course.
Huh?
Everyone knows that, of course.
Right. But after this kind of summit, one can always say NATO stands for no action, talk only.
Well, we're going to see what happens with Pakistan and if they follow up on that promise. So, speaking of some issues with U.S. and some actually overall Islamic issues, the Pentagon ended an anti-Islamic officers course. So this course was being taught at the Joint Forces Staff College in Norfolk, Virginia, and it was being taught by the Army Lieutenant Matthew Dooley. And in one of his presentations for this course, he had said some things that were actually making Islam as the enemy, and saying that for these military people who are taking this course, and saying that Islam is the enemy, not just the terrorists.
Right.
And he was going as far as to put out potential outcomes in his presentation, such as Saudi Arabia threatened with starvation,
right.
Islam reduced to cult status, and Muslim holy cities of Mecca and Medina in Saudi Arabia destroyed.
Yeah.
This is very extreme sort of titles and teaching that he's giving to these students, and
I think these are totally baseless statements. It has no merit. It has no proof to it.
Exactly.
And obviously they went a little bit far. And that's why I think one of the students complained. And that's why the Pentagon suspended the course in late April when student objected to the material, and which obviously, why wouldn't the student object it? But here's the important point that everyone should know, that this course on Islam was an elective taught since 2004 and not part of the required core curriculum.
Right. And however, we still do have about 800 students who did take this course. And it's interesting to note that it was called Perspectives on Islam and Islamic Radicalism. And this was a very strong perspective on his end. So
but now it's not going
the
to be
Pentagon
anymore.
has ended this course.
Right.
Moving on to our next story, we have the Gujarat's chief minister, Narendra Modi, has resorted to, again, having to address his Gujarati people here in New Jersey through live video teleconference.
That's right.
And all this is because
Because he was denied a visa once again. I can definitely relate to the story because I've been following the story. First, Gujarat Chief Minister Narendra Modi was supposed to come here in 2005. He had actually visa since 1998, but because of riots in 2002, which took place in the state of Gujarat, a lot of blame actually went on Chief Minister Narendra Modi. That's why US denied him a visa. Not only that, but US also revoked his 1998 visa. Gujarati community had planned the event for Chief Minister Narendra Modi to attend one event in Florida and one here in New York at Madison Square Garden.
Right.
But obviously he couldn't make it. So what we came up with it that in 2005 that was the first video conference where he came live through video conference, and at that time in Madison Square Garden there were about 5,000 plus people, and he addressed all Gujaratis over there, and we were overjoyed. Gujarati community was very overjoyed because he worked very well. Then in 2008 also he addressed Gujarati community in various cities in US. Now this is going to be the third time that this event will take place once again. And this is actually highlighting Gujarat Divas. Gujarat Divas means state of Gujarat's existence. Gujarat became a separate state from Maharashtra on May 1st, 1960. So basically on May 1st just completed 52 years. So in light of that occasion, that's where Chief Minister Narendra Modi will address Gujarati communities in about 10 different cities in US and in Toronto, Canada.
You know, in a way, this live teleconference, it could have worked out to his advantage because he's able to address so many people at the same time.
That's right.
Whereas if he had gotten the visa and come over here, he wouldn't have that connection that he has, in this way.
I mean, obviously he won't be able to go to all 10 cities and address, communities in a different time. But one way you're right, this works very well. Plus this event will be shown live in India. I think Channel 9 is going to cover the event from start to finish.
Right, that's great. And in a way, it is unfortunate as well because he has really made the state of Gujarat famous, around the world. And
he has done so many, he has taken so many projects and successfully he has completed.
Implemented,
But I think by doing this, Chief Minister Narendra Modi appreciates NRG's, non-resident Gujaratis' contribution and support for the state of Gujarat.
Right, and he's still able to find a solution, which is great. So moving on, in regards to the telecom license scandal in India, the 2G
we can say
scandal.
maybe one of the biggest scandals in India.
Yeah.
I think so.
Right.
I don't think any scandal was bigger than this one.
And it was probably the one that opened the can of worms to other scandals as of late. So we have the former telecom minister, Andimuthu Raja, who was on Tuesday, and he was granted bail by a special court. And, as we know, he's been in prison for the
he spent
past while.
15 months in the prison. And I think numerous times he had applied for a bail, but now this time his bail application was approved with some conditions that he will not go to a state of Tamil Nadu, that's where he's from, without the permission. Then he's not allowed to tamper any witnesses and meet anybody else. So there are some restrictions. But I think next day he went to Lok Sabha to attend it. So, he went to Delhi Parliament next day. But he cannot go to Tamil Nadu or cannot meet anyone without having court's approval.
And Raja is just one of 19 people, and their cases are still ongoing.
And those 19 people, Bhavna, include some big names and also big corporations, including Anil Ambani's Reliance Group. So that's what happens to that one.
That's a big one. But this might be telling as to how those other cases might actually pan out.
Yep.
All right. On the U.S. front, back again, Obama is paying a tribute to the first Asian American congressman, and that is
Dalip
Singh Sond.
Right.
And this was at the 18th annual gala for the Asian Pacific American Institute for Congressional Studies. And really, he just was praising Mr. Sond, for just coming here really at a time when he was more of a pioneer, right?
Sure.
And
well, he came to USA in 1920 to
right.
study agriculture. Then he stayed here, became a farmer, and then applied for a citizenship. And after he got his citizenship, he wanted to do something for this country, USA, that he called his own country. He was originally from Punjab, and I think from 1957 to 1963, he represented the 29th District of California.
Right. And he also talked about, being a pioneer. He was one of the first round of Indian Americans and Asian Americans to face things like ridicule, racism and stuff as he was coming into the forefront of the scene, not just, being like this regular civilian, right? And at the same time, Obama took the opportunity to talk about how he relates to Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, right? So it's very, it's a good opportunity because it's election season, and he wants to reintroduce that story of his own life, right? Being from Indonesia and saying, look, I really relate to you guys as
and you, the community, this community, Asian American community, have made me what I am today. As far as I remember, Bhavna, I don't think I ever heard President Obama saying this much about
his Indonesian background, and even talked about his Hawaiian.
Yeah, and he mentioned some of his
upbringings.
cousins' names and everything. I don't think I've ever heard of President Obama saying that before.
Right, and I think he really hasn't had the opportunity when there are so many shots being taken at him for his background.
Correct.
The same thing that he is using in this to relate to our community. So.
Yep.
I think it's great that he's talking about his background. It would just be nice if it was he was able to do it on a more
and I think it's even more nicer
scale.
that he paid a tribute to first Asian American Congressman Sond. Just I think in time of many Asian Americans are going to be contesting, for different seats, whether it's a representative, Congress, or some other seats, and just in time that he appreciated it. So that's good.
Right. Okay, so we're going to talk about superbugs.
But before that, we take a short break.
All right. We'll be right back on Eye on South Asia.
Eye on South Asia is brought to you by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo, together we'll go far.